All righty. Welcome, everyone, to the Centerville City Council meeting being held on July 18th. We're excited to be back. 2 weeks ago was the 4th of July, and so we didn't have one that night. So we normally have them the first and third Tuesdays of every month. So we're excited to be back with y'all. We welcome all those that are joining by Zoom or in person. We got a nice crowd here in person. I think probably 100% of them are in here the swearing in of the youth city council, which we're excited about. But so thank you everybody for joining us. To make sure that we can do a meeting and we can vote on actions, we got to make sure we have a quorum present. So I'll go around the room and let the council members identify themselves and if they're that they're present.
Meekum present.
First present.
Summer Hayes present.
McEwen present.
Ince present. Ince present.
Thank you. Bill, finding it great to be able to get you. So thanks for being here. So we have all five of them available with us tonight, so we can proceed with the meeting. So the first thing that we'll do tonight, we'll have a legislative prayer or thought from Council Member Robin Meekum.
I'm just going to give a prayer. Our kind Heavenly Father, we thank Thee so much for this beautiful community that we live in, for the safety we enjoy. We are so grateful for all those that keep us safe, keep our utilities running. We're thankful for this council, and we ask Thee that we will be able to work together for the betterment of our community. We ask Thee, please, to bless our law enforcement, our firemen, and our public works, that they will all be able to do their jobs in safety and feel appreciated and be respected by our citizens. We ask you to please bless us this night, that we may be able to be guided to make decisions that will be best for our community, and bless any of those in our community that are in need of special blessings at this time. Say his prayers, Christ, amen.
Amen. All right, if you'd all rise with me and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, it is great to have a filled room. I looked over and saw our city attorney's face, how pleased she was with this noise coming from behind us. So thank you, everybody, and thankful for participating in that most important event of our doing the pledge. The next item is the open session. The open session is an opportunity for members that are present to come up and to say what might be on their mind, both good or bad. We encourage people to keep their comments to 2 to 3 minutes. We do have a public hearing tonight on transfer and donation of property for their Parish Lane intersection project. So if you're going to comment about that, you don't necessarily need to in the open session, because you'll have that opportunity at that point in time to discuss that there. But anything else is fair game. We just ask that if you're going to comment, that you give your name and where you're from. So that is now available to anyone that wants to say anything for the open session. Is there anybody online? Seeing nobody that has any comments tonight to make, we will move on from the open session, and we'll go to the presentations. And the presentations is what you're all here for tonight. So we have our youth city council present here. We're going to have a swearing-in ceremony with them, and so Bryce, why don't you come on up? Are you?
Mayor, I'm gonna have them come up and introduce themselves right here before, and then we'll line them up and do the swearing. Is that okay?
That's perfect, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And give us to give the council and the public little background of how many members we have this year? And
20
And how many new ones?
27 total, and I think we have 12 new,
Excellent,
about half.
yeah, excellent.
So started with 2 a few years ago.
Yeah, because we were rebuilding after COVID, so
Yeah.
that's fabulous. All right,
First, Caleb, you sat on the front row. Name.
Okay, my name is Caleb Wallace, and
Something interesting about you.
I like playing soccer.
It's good enough.
Yeah.
tell us what grade you're gonna be going into too.
I'm gonna be a freshman this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Caleb. Who's next? What? Just stay right there and I'll call you up in a minute. Ex-mayor's leading you astray. You're not a mayor anymore, okay? This is our ex-mayor from last year.
I'm his older brother, though. I can still.
Okay, don't listen to him. All right.
My name is Kate Mullins. I'm going to be a sophomore, and one of my favorite hobbies is photography.
Great, thanks, Kate.
Brittany?
My name is Brindley Carr, and I'm also going to be a sophomore, and I don't know, I like to play volleyball.
Awesome.
You want to say your name and who you are? Oh, sure. Come on up here. Come on.
My name is Talmadge Bunting. I'm going into my junior year, and I like to go for walks.
Talmadge is a return from council from last year.
I'm Kara Vogrinick. I'll be a sophomore, and this is my first year on the City Youth Council.
And what's something you like to do?
Interesting.
I play tennis.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. Mrs. Jones?
My name is Evelyn Jones. I'm going into 9th grade, and I like to swim.
I don't know everyone's names yet. I barely know everyone's names from last year, so it's true, huh?
I'm Lindley Hernandez, and I'm a cheerleader.
What grade are you going?
Oh, 9th. Yeah.
Kira?
My name is Kira Arnold. I'm going to be a senior at Viewmont, and I like to dance.
Who's next? Okay, you come up. I know, I'm sorry.
It's fine, you'll learn. Okay, I'm London Hymas. I'm going into my senior year, and I'm on swim team.
I'm Charlie Summerhays, and I like to eat Taco Bell a lot, and I like to.
What grade are you going into?
I'm gonna be a junior, and that's it.
Okay.
His dad's an amazing guy. He's not my son. His dad's my first cousin.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
I'm Evelyn Waymit, and now he has 2 Evelyns.
I know.
I love to cloud watch and like cloud collect, and I'll be a senior at Viewmont.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna motion. These 3 girls' names I just can't get for some reason.
I don't know my name.
I know, sorry.
My name is Audrey Howell. I'll be a sophomore at Viewmont, and I love to run.
Awesome.
My name is Emmeline Howell. I'm her sister. I'm going to be a senior in Viewmont High School, and I like to play the piano.
Miss anybody? Anyways, as you can see, there's quite a few that are siblings or that are returning for the previous year, so. Okay, come on up. If you didn't get sworn in last year, this is your second chance, okay? And just pretend. There's probably a few of you that we missed.
So you all look at our recorder, she'll be administering the swearing. So you all,
Memorized?
Okay, I'm going to have each of you raise your right arm to the square and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm. That I will support, obey, and defend. The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of this state. And that I will discharge the duties. Of my office with fidelity. Thank you. I'm going to hand these oaths of office back to Bryce, and as you guys go, you'll just fill out your information here on the top, okay? Thank you. Congratulations.
All right.
So I want to thank your siblings that are here, your parents that are here, those that maybe can't be here either because there's another child participating in something or they're working or something in that regard. Thank you for all the support. What's exciting to see is in my 5.5 years as mayor, I'm seeing some siblings coming through as well too, and that's fun to see. And I'm seeing new faces as well too. And you know, the group just before this, they were the pioneer group, so to speak, because they had to resurrect the council from basically going extinct. And so we appreciate their support for hanging tough with us for 2 years, and now all the new faces, and we got it going again. And I appreciate the opportunity I have to participate, and I know that Councilwoman Hurst got to participate a bit with the old council too at your training in Logan. And so we look forward to seeing your growth and your help that you give the city and all the activities you do. So thank you, everybody, and for being here and all the support. Okay. Anything else, Bryce, on that? All right, let's go to the first business item. This relates to this as well too. This is the Centerville Youth City Council charter amendments. We have to make some adjustments to the charter. And Bryce, you want to come up?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. We had to make some adjustments based upon the previous charter to accommodate the large increase in membership. We were only accepting, I think, 20 kids or 18 kids. What was it? 25. Sorry, 25. We increased to 30. As per kind of the council's discussion we had during budgets, was to accept as many kids as we could take. So we didn't turn any kids away this year. A couple things we added were 25 hours of service that we were going to require them to do in addition to the regular service hours that they provide to the city. Those service hours could include anything that they already are doing in school or extracurricular or any extra groups that maybe they want to help with on the side. We also did add a note in there to also allow alumni to participate in this group. Those that would want to stay on or could, after they graduate, could participate as a youth advisor for a period of time. It's kind of a helpful benefit for me because I'm just the ringleader of 29 kids, and so it'd be nice to have some extra help. And we'll have another advisor with Haley being on board, and so she'll be an advisor as well with the youth council, but having an additional opportunity to maybe accept some, maybe not all, as additional advisors we would. So anyways, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I think those are the bulk of the changes. We did up the excused absences to 4 instead of 2. And I think that's the bulk of what we changed. Any questions?
So you have in front of you a resolution that that shows those changes. So I would like for a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2023-21, updating and amending the Centerville Youth City Council Charter.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously, so great. I'm excited to see how many advisors you potentially get. I know the one you're joking with behind you won't be around for too long,
Not
so,
for long.
you know, but that'll be nice to have that added strength and support.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bryce.
Probably tell them kids they don't want to stick around for interlocal agreements and conveyances.
I think Bryce is gonna go do something with them.
Yeah.
Well, those are always fun, that type of event. Let's go on to item number 2 on our business items. This is the public hearing, a matter on the agenda tonight regarding the transfer and donation of city property. We talked a bit about this in the work session. Kevin, did you have anything to add to this and maybe what we'd said earlier in the work session? I mean, I know you weren't there, but anything you wanted us to know about this? Okay. We do have one question, though, for you. When are we looking to start this project? That was brought up. That was a sidebar, but.
Yes, so we're hoping to get all the right-of-way cleared here in the next month or two. That's the goal, and then the goal is to advertise this fall and hopefully construct next spring or summer. That's the goal, so,
When you say advertise, you're talking about going out to bid?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, so summer of 2024 is the goal for construction.
What month do you want to bid? I'm hoping you say like December when they, looking at filling their books for the summer.
Yes, UDOT, for their projects, they've even felt like October, November, a little bit earlier, because some of their contractors are even more backlogged than maybe some of the city contractors. So they found that October, November is a good window for them to.
Whatever gives us the best pricing, or best coverage and pricing, I guess.
Yes, that's what they found, so that's what they're shooting for. Yep.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Further questions right now of staff? If not, it is a public hearing matter.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
I have motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that means it is now open for the members of the public to comment. This is a public hearing on the transfer and donation of city property to UDOT for right-of-way purposes in connection with the Parish Lane and 400 West and Marketplace Drive intersection projects. Just come up if you're going to comment and introduce yourself and where you're from.
I'm Zach. I'm from, I live over on Bonita Way.
Okay?
I'm off of Main Street. And I'm just coming to see what this is, what's going on here. I'm interested in city planning and urban planning and that kind of stuff, and I just want to see what you guys are talking about, what's going on. So, I don't know. I just figured you guys, there's no one else here, so that's what we're here for. I want to see what's going on, but is
This one specifically, this project, or are you just here in general that you're?
I'm just here in general.
Okay.
But is this for is this Main Street?
This specific project is the 400 West and Marketplace.
Oh, okay.
And expanding those streets to where there would be a couple of turn lanes and that type of thing.
Okay.
Okay, to help with traffic flow.
Okay, cool. Interesting.
So-
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your comment, Zach. Okay, anybody online? All right, motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All right, the public hearing is now closed. Further questions for staff at all? If not, then we have, what are you looking
We
for
have a
this?
recommendation.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer and donation of city property to UDOT for right-of-way purposes in connection with the Parish Lane and 400 West and Marketplace Drive intersection projects, and authorize the mayor to sign the required deeds for conveyance and recording.
Second.
motion is second, further discussion? Let's do a roll call vote. Councilwoman Meekum?
Aye.
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 I heard both ayes from you, so that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, let's go next to interlocal agreement with West Bountiful, Stoke Stevenson Centerville Flex Project. Okay, what else do you want to know about this? Lisa, can you just give us a brief overview again? Councilman Ince wasn't with us before.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. You have before you an interlocal agreement with West Bountiful to address a project that straddles the city boundary line. So we want to enter into an agreement with them to discuss land use approvals and revenue sharing due to that boundary line that actually transects some of the buildings. So we did discuss this in a work session. And this is the proposal to have the interlocal agreement addressing these issues and utility services with the idea that in the future, staff will likely be bringing a boundary line adjustment back to you to consider moving the boundary line so that building number 2 is entirely within West Bountiful and the other 2 buildings are entirely within Centerville. But in order to have this project approved, West Bountiful is allowing Centerville to approve all of the land use approvals in accordance with our zoning code. So staff is recommending approval of this agreement, which we are required by state law to adopt by resolution. So we recommend approval of resolution 2023-20 and interlocal agreement.
Thanks. Councilman Ince, I know you had some technology problems. Do you have any specific questions on this?
No, I remember from our prior detail, I missed the earlier meeting, but I think I'm okay.
Okay. Great. I think everybody else, I think Councilman McEwen, you were in on the whole time, or just so. Okay, further questions or discussion on it? Or there somebody ready to give a motion on it?
I'll just make a point of clarification. At this point, and I sent this to Brant and Lisa, I did a quick calculation based off what we have so far. So Centerville would essentially contribute almost exactly a third of the land, 66.8% of the land. But we would have, in terms of building square footage, 64% of the land. So it's a negligible difference, but it means that we give up just a hair more land for less building square footage and therefore possibly less on a pro rata share potential sales tax or property tax revenue. So I think it's negligible. We're doing the best we can, and I don't think the benefits of trying to get those to align perfectly offset trying to dictate to a developer, a private property owner, how they should develop the site, even though they need our approval, but just for everybody's information purposes.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. If no other comments, but somebody want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2023-20, interlocal agreement with West Bountiful for the Stoke Stevenson Centerville Flex project.
A second.
Second.
We got a motion from Councilwoman Hurst and a second from Councilman McEwen. Further discussion? If not, Councilwoman Hurst, start us off.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
All right, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, let's go to Qualtrics data collection and survey software agreement. Should we skip over it? Because both Brand, are you ready to, Annalisa?
Sure, I can discuss it.
Okay,
unless you
because
have-
Brett's gone and Bryce is in the hall, so.
Yeah, so I reviewed this contract. Staff is recommending that we enter into a contract with Qualtrics for data collection and surveying services. And the main intent for this is to provide some data collection and surveying for our general plan project that's coming up, as well as the city branding project. But we put it more broadly in the staff report, just that we're entering into this agreement so that we can use it for other departments or other data collection and surveying that we may need in the future. Bryce has put in here a couple ideas of the 4th of July vendor applications and other permit and licensing issues. So it's a fairly standard agreement. As you know, we're very little negotiating on these types of agreements. So staff is recommending this contract with Qualtrics for this service.
Can anyone on staff remind us, so the fee right now on the exhibit is 12,000.
I think that's for, yeah.
A year. It looks
Yeah,
like
for a
the
year.
19th of July through the 18th of the following year. Where did we have this as a line item in our budget, Nate? And I'm assuming, do we have the $12,000, wherever it's allocated, was that the amount that we had anticipated?
Is part of it with the
Brand.
master plan
Well, I think we were
budget?
were we gonna split maybe half of and half, or some
I
portion
think
of branding?
initially
and
we
some
talked about it
general
with the
plan?
branding item.
That was the JIBE agreement that we split with the RDA.
Okay.
As far as this goes,
Would it be going to the planning?
I believe it's
general
just
plan?
coming out of the general plan line item that we have.
Okay.
Is it 80,000 that we have in there? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's right now that he says that.
Okay.
I'm a little worried about, I'm not sure we've set enough aside for the general plan as is, but also I guess my question is, seems, don't have the general plan ready to go yet. Should we wait a few months to start this? Because it's an annual thing. I mean, we're gonna be using it much before that.
I
I
agree.
think we're ramping up on the branding, so that will likely be
They're
the
starting
one
to
that we
list
want to get going
questions
on.
So that they would be
Okay.
ready to
Yeah.
roll it out in
Okay, so it is gonna be an immediate.
September, October-ish, if I remember the timing.
But if it's September, October-ish, I'd still rather wait till the end of August. I don't really want to pay for, even though it's only a couple $1,000s, I don't really want to pay for months that we're not using
What you
it.
could do is just approve the agreement, and then we'll discuss it with Bryce and Brant, and, sign it when needed. If they're ready to go right now, we'll sign it and start using the services, and if that's a month from now, it's a little bit better, then hopefully they'll give us that lead time.
Because I don't want it signed until we're ready to use it. I just don't see any reason in, I have to, I'm a little bit, and not just with this, but from coming from the old council and into the new, I feel like every time we come, we're being hit with new software, new computer, and I know we need to come up. I just don't want to spend more money than what we have. I feel like maybe we're getting top, I think we were below everybody, now we're getting ahead of everybody. We are a small community, and we only have so much budget, and I am a little concerned about how much money is going into technology.
Well, I think that's a reasonable comment. I do think, however, that this is an important service for both of these to reach out to the public, because we have had a hard time getting the public to engage. And I think that this is, will make that easier. And we are trying to use, more QR codes and things like that to get that public engagement. So I do think that this, in terms of technology, is money well spent for these upcoming projects.
And I don't know that I understand your concern, I share it, except that I think in the context of this, it's not a technology,
And I said,
a
not just this,
software.
it just seems
Yeah.
like every city council meeting, we're approving something else. And most of it I really like. I mean, I think the flock cameras were great. I think that, there's a lot that we've done. I think we need the extra time on our computers. just want to kind of make everybody aware that we can only afford so much software. And
And so what I'm saying though, Robin, is we've already approved as a council a budgeted amount for the general plan. This comes out of that budget.
that's what I say, I'm not just going on
This
this.
isn't in addition.
Well, it's a good comment, and maybe we could even have a work session or something, or report back on, some of those. I can at least give Brent the feedback.
I'm just making the comment that I think they need to be aware that we're kind of watching. I mean, there's only so much that we can do in a year, but I'm not against this, but I am with Gina. I don't want to sign it a month or two before we're even using it.
And to Spencer's point, I think I am a little concerned if 80,000 was enough for the general plan. So taking 12,000 away from that, now I'm really wondering if we
Well,
are
and
gonna
I
fall
think what we've
short.
talked about in budgets, it's gonna be most likely 80 this budget cycle and 80 the next
That's right.
budget cycle.
Okay, you're right.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing up that point. That does make me
Yeah,
feel a
so it's
little
not
better.
supposed to cover the full amount all
That
in
makes me
one
feel
fell
better.
swoop.
You're right.
Because we anticipate, I think the discussion was, from Corey at least, is, hey, you're doing a lot of community surveys in anticipation of even going out to an RFP for the outside consultant help that then starts utilizing some of that information with Corey's local knowledge so it doesn't get away from us.
Right.
And then starts rolling up throughout the year, and then you're already into your next budget cycle.
Help me remember, I don't know if this was ever.
That's the way I remember it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Help me remember, I don't know if this was discussed or not. One of the things about using Qualtrics is I'm hoping they're going to be able to neutralize the questions. Sometimes when we ask questions, because of whatever background we have, we lead the answer. I'm hoping these guys are going to be able to neutralize them so they're not guiding to one way or another. It is really an opportunity for our residents to give really how they feel about these.
Unbiased.
Yes, an unbiased question to generate a response from them that is how they really feel.
Bryce, we're going over Qualtrics, and one of the concerns just is that the effective dates for the contract start tomorrow through the following year. Are you ready to roll tomorrow with them? Or the question is, do we put it at August 1st or
We can change
August 15th?
The date doesn't necessarily matter. He just wanted to have it so that you knew that we
We
could
just didn't
roll
want to
out.
pay for a service period that we're not utilizing. So our question was, what is the right date for staff to really feel like you're prepared to really start working with
Well, really,
Qualtrics?
I feel like it's a good day because I gotta get everything built out on the back end as well, like with all the questioning and then getting the data ready to roll. So I would rather have access to it sooner than later. If you feel like you wanna push it back a few more weeks, that's totally fine,
So
or
if we push to August 1st,
that's
feels more
fine.
comfortable?
It just, I think I can work with them on trying to see how it works on the back end. It's been a few years since I've used it. But by the end of August, we'll have most of all of our branding, open houses and internal meetings done.
So do you suggest September 1st then?
No, I still think, because we're gonna be building out questions
Okay.
as we move along
Okay, got
in
it.
the open house processes and things like that. So we'll have, there's a lot on the back end to put together as the foundation, so that as soon as we want to go and go live, we can pull the trigger and go.
Did they not let you build out on the back end before going live?
Yes, but we have to have the contract signed on that.
To start that.
To start. I can't get access until, that's why we had it built in like this, is that the contract starts tomorrow so that we could start getting access to start building out the questions and the data and things like that.
Are you writing the questions or are they helping with the
So
questions?
it's a combination of the team, it's Qualtrics, Jibe,
I-
and also a combination of what we're gathering from staff and
Okay.
open house. Corey and I have met, and there's 4 or 5, this is not gonna be like a giant survey, this is like a 12 question survey with some ability to add ask more questions if you want to ask more questions, if that makes sense. That's the nice thing about Qualtrics, is you can ask a question, and if you want to ask more, it will drop in more boxes and more boxes and more boxes until you want to go blue in the face. And so the branding specific survey will be about 12 questions, with 4 of the questions being mirroring what the general plan questions that Corey and I feel like will go both ways in data. So
And do you know, another question was where this is budgeted?
Nate,
That's okay, we already
Already
asked.
been out.
We already
That's
asked
fine.
Nate.
he doesn't know?
He does,
Oh, he
General
does.
plan.
kind of.
I
We
think
just
it's
wanted to
budgeted
confirm.
already, right? Where's it coming from, this money? The general plan money.
So what date do you feel like you want it to start? Like really, you're gonna pick up the phone tomorrow morning, or are you gonna pick up the phone on August 1st?
The mind is
they'll let us
willing, but the
build out
body is
the-
weak, is how I feel right now.
Okay, so
personally.
it sounds like August 1st sounds like a better date.
Yeah, I think by then I will not be working 3 jobs, and I'll have a little bit more time to do stuff.
I mean, maybe we just say, don't sign it until you're ready to work on it.
Right,
So.
and if they'll let you,
Yeah,
if
we
we
just
do
wanna
an
make sure the
agreed
effective
date
dates.
and they'll let you do the back end, do that before, I mean, if we agree August 1st or August
I'm
15th,
comfortable with August 1st.
but they're saying to you, once you've signed this contract for that date, you can start working on the back end, then push it out a little bit so we can get our back end done and we get the
You
most we
can't do
can
the
get
back
for
end
our.
without the contract in place.
Right, but he just said if we signed the contract, then he could do the back end before it started, was the way I
As long as the
understood it.
contract date started on that date.
Correct.
Right,
So like, if we say August 1st, I'm not gonna be able to get access to the back end until August 1st.
oh, okay, I
That's what I'm saying.
misunderstood you,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
So
okay.
I feel a little better that I'd be more confident in August 1st. I mean, I want to say tomorrow, but honestly,
We'd rather do it right.
I think I'd rather
That's why
have a
I'm
little more time.
saying, just when you're ready to work on it, sign the,
I mean,
sign it.
we've been
Don't.
working on stuff on the back end, but quite frankly, honestly, I need a few more weeks. So if you're comfortable with August 1st, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Yeah, that's understandable with what you're doing.
Anything else on it, Bryce?
I think it's going to be great. I think it's got some great mechanisms to be able to really do some fantastic things that we've never done before. One of the things I'm most excited about was how it's going to complement the 4th of July. We're going to be able to take payments through this system. We'll be able to take vendor applications, and then that vendor will be able to submit a payment through a link or through this form. That'll be a great resource, and it will save a ton of time for the committee chair and for staff to track down money.
So Bryce, let me ask you this question then. I don't think that it needs to be super precise, but that means that the money we're allocating out of a general plan line item might be going to other line items within the budget. So I think from a staff, and Nate, this might be for you too, is you allocate some of that 12,000 to maybe if you're going to be doing 4th of July, a little bit of it goes to 4th of July. I don't want to hamstring 4th of July
Right.
at the same time, but if it's going to go to permits and licenses, maybe it
So-
goes into that administrative budget as well.
I agree
I was gonna
100%.
say, I think that's an important point, because moving forward, at some point, the general plan is done, and so is the branding, and then that way, at least some of the budget we're already seeing.
We feel like that trying the general plan out and the branding project with Qualtrics is a stepping stone to using Qualtrics in a long-term form. And so when I say 4th of July, maybe it's this year, maybe it's next, or whatever, but I think this is, the bulk of what we're asking for is to start with the general plan and the branding, and anything else we do besides that will come before council to decide funds or wherever it may be in that. But our main focus is general plan and the branding project, so.
And as far as the 4th of July goes, in your background, it says 4th of July vendor application and payment system. I mean, that's kind of done for this year. That would be a new fiscal year
So,
before
well,
that's.
it would be within this
Well,
budget year,
it'll be in
2020.
this
Well, it'll be
budget
in this
because you're going to
budget,
have
right.
people signing up early
Yeah,
next
they'll be
year.
signing
I
up.
think it's such a small ask.
Don't worry
I know.
about
Talking
that.
like-
It seems like it's ancillary to
Yeah,
it.
we're talking less than 20. So, I mean, it's a very small scale, maybe a little more than 20, but it's a very small scale of what we're asking to use it for as a demo
I
part.
just want to make sure we're transparent with the public in terms of how that 12,000 is utilized.
It will be 95% most likely general plan and branding with that.
And I was gonna say, I think you brought up a good point when you said you're kind of trying it out with these 2 items, and then we'll see how it works for some other stuff and if it's worth it or not.
Yeah, we feel like it's going to be a great complement and hopefully open up some other processes that will save staff time and money, so.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, I do, to your point, I do agree that for transparency purposes, it is good to allocate to show the true cost of what we're doing.
Yeah.
But everything that was mentioned, as far as use goes, is out of the general fund. So it doesn't, I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day on the financial statements, it'll still show general fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So I think you hear from council, what they'd like to see is that this isn't signed until you're ready to work on it, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna say are you gonna make a motion, Gina? Is that what you're
Sure.
saying? Or are you gonna do it as a TBD date?
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Just gonna
TBD and
rely on
let
staff?
Bryce, when he's ready to sit down and work
Okay.
on it, he can move forward. I'll make a recommendation that we approve the Qualtrics data collection and survey software agreement to implement Qualtrics data collection and surveying services for various city projects and research, with the date of the agreement to be determined by Bryce when he's ready to work on it.
Are you okay with that, Lisa?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I don't have to roll call on this one, do I? You want me to? Okay, Councilman Summerhouse, you start us this time.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, we got them all. That's the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. All right, Nate, get up here. Let's talk about our accounting software. This is hopefully a software we already have, but they're raising the price on us, so
I
it
was
looks
gonna
like.
say, we already know one question that he's gonna come up.
So,
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. As you mentioned, this is for a new contract with Cassell. We currently use them and have for a long time. Currently, the way our system works, and let me preface this with I am not an IT person, so forgive my ignorance. But currently, we house a software internally that we operate Cassell on. Our staff oversees all the maintenance of this server, and we perform all the software updates, as well as performing all the data backups for this. What we're proposing before you tonight is that we move to a system within Cassell that they refer to as hosted, which essentially means that they host the server. They perform more frequent backups of it, so without going into too much detail, I don't think our server gets backed up near as much as we would like. With this program, they would back up all of our financial data every night. So we have, it's more security. Through this, they also perform all of the updates for us. So as we know, we have a one-person IT department. So when we have these updates, it's a little time consuming. But Cassell takes care of all of the updates and any bug fixes that may come with that. This was originally proposed through our budget retreat, not this past year, but the year before, from Councilman McEwen and our city manager, Brandt. So this has been budgeted for a couple of years, but it does increase our costs. Currently, we're paying about $21,000, and this would increase it to a cost of $30,936 annually. However, we would be eligible for a 5% discount if we paid up front, which I would recommend doing. Lisa, do you want to touch on the contract changes that we had?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so this was another contract that's difficult to negotiate, but they did have a very restrictive clause on their damages are limited to 60 days of the contract. So, you know, oftentimes you'll just get the cost of the services. But anyway, I think we got them up to 180 days. They also had a provision in here that said they were not going to indemnify us for any kind of infringement of intellectual property, so we asked them to revise that, and they were willing to do that. So we were considering it a win, those two small changes, so recommending approval.
So Nate, in reading just a summary on it, so I get it in what you said now, so just clarification, that's jumping from the 21 to the 30,000?
Correct.
So
Actually, 29,389 if we get the
the
5%
5%
discount.
discount,
Yeah.
okay.
Correct.
All right, so, just want to make sure that that's not an additional charge to the 21, that's just
No,
cost
yeah.
has increased from.
Yeah, that's just our new rate. And I will add that our server is nearing its end. So should we decide to forego.
Our server is what?
It's near its end, its end of life. We've been having some issues with it, and Lisa is recommending that we buy a new one. Well, she's recommending we switch to this, but if we don't, then we will need to upgrade our servers.
George, do you have any insight for us, given your expertise?
In terms of what, the pricing? I think it's pretty reasonable.
Go again, George, I didn't catch it, I don't know if you guys did.
I didn't either.
I said in terms of pricing, that's pretty reasonable. What other insights were you looking for?
None, just any general insights you had on it? Or any comments, if any?
Did we budget for new servers with this? And what are those hosting? And I'm assuming that this Cassell server that you're talking about that's near end of life is not one of them? Is that right?
So, again, I could butcher this, so take it with a grain of salt, but I believe these new servers would be able to house multiple functions, including Cassell. I think we would need to upgrade it. If I understood Lisa correctly, we would need to get a bigger server than what we had originally planned.
Okay. So this was not part of what was being planned for the new servers necessarily?
No, we had budgeted for this switch. And again,
Okay.
this was 2 years ago. It's taken us a bit to get the ball rolling here. And we carried over that same budget amount. And it actually came in a little bit cheaper than we had budgeted by a couple thousand, so. Sorry, my IT knowledge is.
Mine too, but having been responsible for our CRM at the office and moving a few years ago from a server to the cloud has been very nice. We've had a lot less issues for the most part.
Yeah, we've had a lot of issues recently, so this will be a good move.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody get their questions answered from Nate? Let's look for, approval of the Cassell Connect software agreement. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Cassell Connect software services agreement with Cassell for accounting, payroll, and utility management software. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Let's vote. Councilman McEwen?
Aye.
Councilman Ince?
Aye.
Councilwoman
Aye.
Meekum?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nate, appreciate it. All right, let's see where we at. Municipal Code and Personnel Policies Amendment in regard to employee appeals and employee appeal board. This is a timely one, so Lisa, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We're proposing some edits to our personnel policies and our municipal code regarding our employee appeal board. As you know, we've recently reconstituted this board and elected 2 members of the council and 3 employees that will constitute this board. In reviewing this all started in reviewing our personnel policies on appeals to the employee appeals board. It says that all appointed officers and employees of the city, other than members of the police department, department heads, and city manager, have the right to an appeal. In actuality, the police department should not be excluded. They do have the right under state law. And so when I saw that, I wanted to fix that first, but then went ahead and reread the whole chapter as well as our code and
Why was there that exclusion previously?
because under state law, it used to say that members of civil service are excluded from being, from having appeal rights, because generally some law enforcement
Yeah, they have
and
their
fire,
own.
yeah, they had their own civil service, and so cities, I think it was just a standard clause to exclude law enforcement, but in Centerville, the way ours works, we do not have civil service, and they do have an appeal right. So we wanted to fix that, number one, and also just make some other corrections. The other issue is, I thought we had the police department has their own personnel, their policies through Lexipol, very detailed, operating procedures, but they also have some personnel policies in their Lexipol. So I wanted to add to our scope provision a conflicts clause. So because the police department is subject to some of our, general personnel policies, but we'd like to make it clear that if there's a police department policy regarding something, then that policy governs, or if there's some sort of conflict between the two, Lexipol will govern over these policies. So that's new. And then state law requires, and I'd love to have this fixed, but state law requires that we adopt an ordinance regarding our appeal board. So that's why we have it in two places. I would love to have it all in the personnel policies, but by state law, certain provisions have to be by ordinance. So now we jump over to our municipal code. And our municipal code is where we talk about employee rights to this appeal board and how the appeal board is elected and constituted. Under state law, it also says that, we can come up with procedures for these appeals and we can come up with the standard of review. Our ordinances did not provide a standard of review. So these edits are suggesting a standard of review, which is generally arbitrary and capricious, and similar to administrative decisions that will be reviewed under a substantial evidence provision. So it does also talk about some rules of procedure and the written decision, and also that any appeals of the Employee Appeals Board goes directly to the Utah Court of Appeals by state law. So we're just recommending these provisions. I think in the personnel policies, the amendments are just cleanup to be consistent with state law, and then the amendments to our municipal code is really to provide more guidelines regarding procedures and standard of review and appeal for the Employee Appeal Board. So we're recommending those changes, and also, if you could just say, other non-substantive changes. We have hired outside attorney to represent the appeals board, so that I don't have a conflict of interest in being involved below. So anyway, and that attorney has reviewed these and had some minor changes. I don't think they're substantive. So if you could approve these edits with some minor non-substantive changes, that would be appreciated, and we'll include those comments as well.
Thanks for that background, Lisa. Further questions for her? Go ahead, Spencer.
The appeal process might take place for the current
No, and I didn't really want to get into that at all, but
Then
no,
don't answer it.
we can give you an update later.
Okay, so what we have in front of us, we have ordinance number 2023-13 and resolution number 2023-19 that we both need to approve. The ordinance is the employee appeal amendments and the resolution is personnel
Do you want
policy.
those as separate motions, Lisa, or can we do it
You
all
can do
the same?
all the same,
Okay.
just with the non-substantive changes
Yeah.
to both.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2023-13, amending various provisions of the Centerville Municipal Code regarding employee appeals and the Employee Appeal Board, and as well as resolution number 2023-19, amending various provisions of the Centerville personnel policies regarding employee appeals, employee grievances, and pre-disciplinary action hearings, as well as, or in addition to allowances for non-substantive changes within those documents.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. Further discussion? Councilwoman Mika, why don't you start off voting?
Aye.
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 And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, let's go to item number 7. This is waterline easement regards to Centerville Corporate Park subdivision. Both Kevin and Lisa worked on this. Which one of you wanted to tackle this one?
I can just introduce it. We're just requesting the city council approve and accept this water line easement from MTC property owners to provide an additional 7-foot water line easement so that we can put the new water line in the asphalt rather than taking out a number of trees that are in the existing.
This is related to the Parish Lane, Northwest
Yes.
Marketplace project, correct?
Right, and it'll provide additional water lines and fire hydrants to both the MTC as well as the Zions Bank buildings. So we're just recommending approval and acceptance of that.
So we have an existing 7-foot right now. We need another 7-foot. Is that right?
Yes, so just so we can put it and avoid taking down the trees.
But that wasn't within our PUE? This is a whole new,
Yes, the new additional 7 feet.
they didn't ask for any compensation for it? Was there any negotiation
It's
related
just
to
an
it?
easement, we're not.
I know,
buying
it's an
the
encumbrance on the property though, so.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Kevin wants to address
I'm
that.
grateful for it, don't get me wrong, I just want to get the context of it.
Yeah, they did not ask for any compensation. It is fire protection for their building, so that's the way we prefaced it.
Okay,
And
good.
to Lisa's point, for the project, we're going to have to widen Parish Lane, and we're going to have to take out a fire hydrant or 2 along Parish Lane. So these are replacement fire hydrants for fire protection for Zions Bank and the MTC building.
Okay, good.
So Kevin, and there's a note in the background that says that the new 7-foot water line easement will be exclusive to Centerville City. Is there some concerns that the state or somebody else?
Most
might wanna use
easements
the easement,
are PUEs, public utility easements, so any utility company, public utility could come in and encumber those easements. But this one, we wanted to be a specific culinary water line easement because we have an 8-inch line that's going to be in that
You don't want
7 feet.
Questar or any telecom or any other provider in there.
So we want it just to be for Centerville City in this case.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the water line easement for Lot 1 of the Centerville Corporate Park subdivision from J&S Papura Ventures LLC.
Second?
Motion is second. Further discussion? Councilwoman Hurst, start us off voting.
Aye.
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 And that motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, summary action. We have a couple items on here. We have a water department vehicle purchase in the amount of $42,498. And we have a street department vehicle and plow equipment purchase in 2 different amounts. Do we have any questions on either of any of those purchases? We have Mike here from Public Works.
It is 2 vehicles for the water department, so they're each $42,498.
That's correct. That's,
I just like it's old school, it's like in handwritten contract there.
We won't mention names.
His name's on it.
I just would have the question in reading over it, Mike, that it said on the second one, I believe it's on the, is it the plow? No, it's 151,000.
Yeah, so
That we're gonna be over a little,
Well,
by budget, so it could
Mark
cause
got
a bunch
it
of
bid,
amendment.
Mark got
or-
it bid out and it's not gonna go over. So it's actually gonna be just a hair under, so he's okay. He just found out today, so,
Oh, sweet,
so everything
thanks.
should go under budget.
So it's not gonna be the 151, it's gonna
So
be.
should we say up to?
Yeah,
certain
what
amount?
you're approving here is the cabin chassis. The next one that'll come is for the snow plow equipment and the bed. so we'll be able to bring it down to the right price.
So this
But this is what we will pay for
This one
the truck.
stands, the next one that we'll see will be lower than budget.
Yeah, we'll be within the budget. I'm
Right,
gonna
so
go
that-
that way.
so that'll mesh up.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
Tell Mark, thanks for working on that.
Want me to make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make-
Include amounts for sure. We have to
Okay.
do that with these.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of 2 trucks for the water department for $42,498 each, or a total of $84,996. And that we approve the purchase of an International CV with plow equipment in the amount of $151,671.95, and a Ford F-550 chassis in the amount of $58,885.
Second.
Okay? Yeah,
Thank you very
Councilman
much.
Hance?
Aye.
Oh, yeah, okay, I thought you had a comment. I'll start voting. Go ahead, you can start us.
Aye.
McEwen?
Aye.
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 That motion passes 5-0.
Just one quick comment though, so, remember we come in and we sold you guys on letting us trade out the truck, so this selling point will be the year before we think we'll be really recuperating, but we think we're gonna come out really good on these trucks. I think Nate proposed $20 or $20 a piece. 20,000 a piece on the trucks is what we'll get back in. We believe it'll be a lot more than that, but this is, next year we'll be looking at seeing if the plan worked, so to speak. So we're continually mindful of that.
It'll be interesting to see what the used car market is next year. is
Yeah,
what your
well,
point
that's,
is.
that's what's gonna happen, right? It's gonna tell us what it's got,
Yeah.
but so far we've done, I think, exceptionally well. So, thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, look at that, we're down to minutes. We have 3 meetings to approve. We have the minutes review and approval from June 20th work session, June 20th city council, and June 27th the special city council minutes. Any changes to those minutes?
I do have a change.
Okay,
And I'm sorry, I tried to print it out and our printer would not function today when I needed it, so.
Jennifer, get out your pencil.
So I can email these to you, but I'll just tell you, there was a line that said a majority, this is in, so Jennifer, this is in the section on the church well fill station.
Sorry, this is in the regular meeting or the work session meeting?
I think it's the work session meeting. I just copied the notes out, let me see.
Don't think it's in the work session.
I think it's regular.
It's a regular session, sorry.
Okay, I apologize that I wasn't more prepared on that part.
You're okay.
So coming into line 46, on that section, a majority of the council appeared to agree. I prefer to not make an assumption on who agreed or didn't. And so just take that out, and then in line 48, when it says, end of line 47, Mr. Carlson described the informal bid process he had followed, period. Here's the sentence I'd like to add. Council directed staff to run the diagnostic well test and consider options for charging non-residents for use of the well, comma, expressing support for Mr. Carlson, proceeding with best judgment.
Yeah, I could not write all that, so.
That's okay,
email
I'm
it
gonna
to
email
me.
it to you. I'll just email it to you.
Thanks.
But that's the change I'd like to make if everyone else is in agreement. If not,
That's
I'm
fine.
fine to leave it the way it is.
No, it sounds great.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, so with those changes, motion to approve the minutes with those changes then.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mike, thank you for continuing to put up with whatever phone calls you continue to get,
Yeah.
because we're continuing to get
Yes, we are.
emails.
I can't believe how many people. And everywhere I go, somebody comes up and says something about it.
Yeah, I had that in my
I
marriage
had
message
no
too.
idea the amount of people that used it or
Yeah.
were interested in it.
So, All right, Nate, come on up. We have a year end. It's a quarter end and a year end. A chance to look back at our full year of results on our finances.
Yes, thank you. I was not able to connect to the TV. Thanks, Jennifer. All right. So as Mayor mentioned, this is kind of our final look at fiscal year '23. However, it does come with a caveat that this is not the final numbers. I've given staff a deadline of July 31st to get all of our invoices that need to be coded back to fiscal year '23. So there can still be a lot of changes to this. So just keep that in mind as we go. It does give us a decent picture of where we ended up, but there still can be a number of changes. All right, if you want to go to the next page. Just real quick, just wanted to highlight, you'll see that we, if you remember our last council meeting of fiscal year '23, we had a budget amendment to transfer out the amounts in the municipal building authority and the debt service funds. So you can see that that has been done. And then also thanks to that budget transfer, we do have a net positive in our recreation fund. And then the final thing here is that our interest rate continues to climb. We're at 5.18% essentially. It's still going up. I did listen to a economic update put on by the Zions Bank economic team, and they think that the feds are done raising the interest rate. So this may continue for a little bit longer, but it'll probably stall out soon. All right, if you want to go to the next page. Just the one thing here to note is that again, from that budget amendment, we recognize the revenue for our ARPA funds. So that has been unrestricted and is available for use. Okay, and the third page. So here I just wanted to highlight our sales tax. You'll see that right now we're at 5.6, just shy of 5.7. We were expecting to come in about 5.7, so we're pretty close to where I thought we'd be. The amount we got in June was considerably less than what we received last year. In June, we saw just statewide sales tax revenue was down quite a bit. In fact, there was only one city that had an increase in sales tax, and that was just an increase of 1%. Everybody else
in June.
From the funds that we received in June, which is reflective of the sales in April. But again, our original budget amount was about 5.2 million. After the budget amendment, we're at 5.3, and we still came in at, again, 5.6, close to 5.7, so we well exceeded our budgeted and expected revenues, despite the last month being a little disappointing. You'll note that the big change that we had over 2022 in our intergovernmental fund or account is because of the ARPA funds. Again, that was just over $2 million. And then looking at our total revenues, we came in a little bit over 15 million. This is about $3 million more than last year and well above our budget amount. So that's really good news. That'll help out a lot. All right, going down to expenses, for the most part, all budgets or all departments stayed within budget, with just a few minor overages. But if you look at the total expenses for the year, it came in at 11.5 million right now. Again, so looking at our net income, we're at 3.6 million at the time of this printing. And again,
it was that school crossing overage that really killed us.
Right. The labor expense there was.
Robin knows I'm just teasing her in good faith.
No, I am too. But yeah, I mean, you look, we stayed citywide at the time of this printing was at 79% of our budgeted expenses. Again, we do have invoices trickling in still, so that amount will change, but you know, the snapshot here, 3.6 million net revenue is great.
So Nate, we talked about this in a previous meeting. Bill and I and Bill spearheaded it, but are there any expenditures in this 21% differential between what we actually spent and what we still may have committed? Does that make sense? So it's almost as if it were a payable out there that we approved for this budget cycle that's going to be moved to the next budget cycle that might push us over, that we would have committed to in a prior year. Does that make sense?
Yes, so kind of our roll forward amounts. that we
Yeah,
call them.
exactly.
Yeah. Out of our capital projects fund, possibly. I think we got all of our vehicles in. I have not seen an invoice off the top of my head for the police expedition that's getting wrapped up. I know we have the vehicle, it's all the lights and everything else on it. So I think we got that in time.
Okay.
It's kind of hard for me to say for
Right.
certain right now.
Yeah.
As we're still waiting for things to come in.
Okay.
But
So Nate, I gotta skip back to revenues. Go back up to revenues, Jennifer. Okay, so when I look at, our budget being 14.5 and our year-to-date 15.1, so we, positives, good news, like you said, 613 positive. How much should we get from our property tax increase?
So if you look at,
Do you recall?
yeah, so in our property tax, we show revenue of 2.4 million. And last year, you can see we had 1.7, and so it was 500 and,
So are you saying in theory, we could, without a property tax increase, we would have been okay?
I mean, in theory, yes.
I mean, I know that we're over on
Well,
sales
no.
tax.
And let me,
That's why I kind of asked my question, Mayor.
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because of that difference, I mean, that difference does make it up. You know, we would have, had we not done anything, we would have received that 1.7 again.
Because, like Nate said, you have under $330,000 on police, and so that's why I wondered how much had not been yet, accounted for in this fiscal year that we might have to, that we kind of approved in the current fiscal year that will get rolled forward to the next.
Okay.
And make up for, I don't know what the right answer is, but I just see that $330,000 differential, as well as in the park side, 116.
No, that's a good question. I'll have to look into that more.
Community development, that makes sense. There were 86, we didn't spend the 80,000 that was allocated for the general plan. And
So I feel pretty confident in saying that we won't have anything rolled forward from the general fund. We shouldn't. All of our capital projects, which are really the only things that we do roll forward, would come out of our capital projects fund. So there may be some equipment that, you know, we ordered that didn't come in time. But I can't think of anything here. When you look at police, they use 91% of their budget. So they do have probably the largest department. Yeah, absolutely, the largest department in the
Correct.
general fund.
Yeah.
So they use 91%. They were able to save 9%.
Well, that's why I'm asking, did they really save 9%? Or are there things on order that we will have to pay for that will true up and roll to the next fiscal year? So we'll have budgeted a similar amount for this tentative budget, or the approved budget we have on cycle, but we're gonna be paying another 300,000 or whatever for other things that were in their budget.
Yeah, no, out of the general fund, no, we won't roll anything forward. We record the expense in the period that it occurred. And so if we, you know, we could have invoices pending that we're still trying to get from our vendors.
But if they buy a car and it doesn't come in this year, don't we roll it over into next year to pay for it? So if they get it and it's not gonna be here before the end of July, are we gonna still, we're gonna still pay for it?
Yes, and those expenses would come out of the capital projects fund, and we're looking at the general fund right now. So,
So Chief, you
There's-
saved $330,000 this year?
Good job.
He said, well, he says, no, he didn't. That's why I want to kind of reconcile that in my mind.
so again, this could be this very well could be a timing issue of
Okay.
the invoices getting printed to when
Okay.
this was coming out.
I feel Chief and Alan feverishly looking
They're
through their
really
files.
sad, because they're sad they didn't spend it.
Oh, I think they know they've spent it. They don't know why it's not showing up, is what I think maybe what it is. To answer Mayor's question about, hey, you have we approved a large property tax increase, assuming that that's what we'd have to do. Wait, are we short now? Wait, and I don't think we did the wrong decision, so that's why I'm trying to
Yeah, so I mean, based on
match that up.
Chief and Lieutenant's faces, I think we saw more invoices
Okay.
coming in, which will cut down on that.
Okay.
Be interesting
Net
to see
income
where
a
it
little
goes.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, the other thing we need to remember with property tax increases, we use those for our recurring expenses. Sales tax, as we saw this in June, it's volatile. It's up and down and out of our control. But our labor costs are, for example, our labor costs won't go away. So property tax does provide us that stability in our revenues, where sales tax is a little bit out of our control.
Okay, just ask you to keep your pencil sharp, so, yeah, move ahead, thank you.
Okay. All right. Just quickly looking at the RDA, net revenues over expenses was about 700,000, and that was due to our great tax increment that we received, and we've talked about that before. Going to our municipal building authority, again, that amount was just the amount that we transferred out through that last budget amendment. Going to our recreation fund, we did have a net loss of about $6,500. But we did, again, we are cash positive, so we don't have to worry about the loan that we avoided through that last budget amendment. And yeah. RAP tax did very well. You can see that of our actual RAP tax revenue, we came in at 112% above, or at 112%, so 12% above our budget, which is great. And again, we will have that budget amendment that you gave me the flexibility to adjust. So those budget numbers will change once we get our final numbers come in. Going to our cemetery perpetual care, we have not made the transfer to the general fund. We budget to transfer 80% of what we receive into the perpetual care into the general fund to cover the cost of maintenance of our cemetery. As you can see, our revenue came in at the $33,565. So we obviously don't have the budget to transfer what we thought we would, the $34,000. So I will just be transferring the 80% of our final revenue. So 20% will stay in the perpetual care fund. Next page. Okay, the debt service fund, again, this was from our budget transfer that we transferred into our general fund. Looking at our parks fund, the good news I'd like to report here is that we made our final payment to the South Davis Recreation District for our community park expansion. So that debt is officially gone, which is great. So now we just have the Island View Park debt remaining in that fund.
So that was on the grass field.
Yeah, that extra, was it 5 acres or
Yeah.
so?
So does our agreement with them drop off now? Or they don't have the upper hand to use it on us? Or don't you know?
Does it go one more year?
That's not a finance question, I guess.
Yeah, from an operational standpoint, what are we gonna be charging the rec district now for field use?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's what you're getting at, Mayor. isn't it?
Exactly.
Or frankly, any other groups. I still think we far undercharge outside groups for use of our fields.
We have had internal discussions about that, and we'd like to,
Comp teams, rec teams, fantastic. Comp teams, that's a whole different story, so. Anyways.
We're putting a study together for that.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Just making me more friends over at the rec district, right?
I was trying to say, but you chimed in too.
It's in my mind, it's on my mind.
all right, going on to our capital projects fund. So here it does show a loss of 188,000. However, remember that we did plan to use fund balance of 474,000. So there's still some there. And again, especially out of this, we tend to get our invoices for some of these assets. It takes a little bit of time to get them. So this number could change. I know for sure that fence for the Public Works facility, we're still waiting on an invoice. And there could be other things. So this is where we may see some rollover items. There's none that I can think of off the top of my head, but there is a small possibility. Going on to the transportation fund, I'll just highlight again our net revenue of 241,000. It is possible that changes as we do have ongoing street projects that will cross year end. So we may still be waiting on invoices for that. All right. On the Utopia Fund, I just wanted to highlight that in June we received our rebate amount or the distribution amount for 135,000. So that really helped out that fund. I'm glad we got it before the year end. Okay, going on to water. This I've been doing some studying in. If we first look at our operating revenue and expenses, you'll see that our expenses are coming in under our revenue amount, which is great. It does show a 270,000 loss. I believe this is due to the developer fees. So when a developer comes in, they pay us a fee to put in the water line. We find a contractor to install the line. These projects can take time. They don't always happen in the same fiscal year. So we do see some crossover amounts. And I believe that's why it is showing as a loss, because we collected these fees in a prior year, and now we have the expense coming out now. So that's what I'm seeing there. Our sanitation fund, again, this is a $12,000 loss. However, remember we were planning on this and we had a $54,000 use of fund balance that we were planning on. Now we're at just at 12. So we didn't use all of our fund balance that I had thought we would. And then in our drainage fund, again, it shows the net loss of 478,000. We had a budgeted use of fund balance of 561,000. So again, invoices, I'm sure we're still waiting on invoices for this, as you know, some of those storm drain projects are going on right now and in June that we haven't been billed for. So that number will change, but we did have, we were planning on using fund balance out of that fund. All right, and that's all I have prepared for you. Are there any questions to answer?
I think to answer your question, Mayor, it's probably better to look at a closed out.
Yeah.
End of year financial statement, when all invoices come in, and that would be helpful to see where things truly land. I mean, this gives us a good snapshot, but once we have all those invoices and we have a true closeout, that would be nice.
Right, and yeah, I mean, as far as revenues go, I mean, our sales tax did go a lot higher than we thought it would. We've kind of had this recession looming over us for the past year or two, that maybe, I mean, it still is looming. I think most experts are predicting a recession coming in shortly, but who knows? Who knows?
The recession
So,
that never happened.
yeah, so and that's where this budgeting process is a little bit tricky, that we weren't expecting as great a sales tax as we ended up getting, and we ended up getting it, which greatly helped out our general fund. But yeah, it's just tough to budget for some of those.
Well, you could budget property tax, you can't budget sales tax. And those are two biggest ones, right? So,
correct.
I mean, you can, but you can't get it as close.
Right, yeah, we
it's
submit to the
a challenge.
county the amount that we're going to receive, and for property tax and sales
Yeah.
tax is anybody's guess.
Yeah. So, all right, thank you. Any other questions for him? All right, thanks, Nate, for the report. We'll look forward to the final, when you get all invoices in. All the unrecorded liabilities.
Right.
Yeah, thanks. All right, let's go to council report. Councilwoman Hurst.
Mr. Mayor, can I interrupt?
You may, Councilman Ince.
I am going to have to drop off because of a little bit of a logistical emergency.
Okay.
So I apologize, but I'm going to have to drop off.
You're done voting, so thank you for joining us.
Okay, sorry I was late and leaving early.
Well, you made the vote, so appreciate it.
And thank you.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye.
Councilmember Hurst.
Jewel Creek Irrigation Company, users they must be fatigued from the drought and conserving water because they're using a lot more water this year. So they've had to, because of that, there's been some issues in the system. They've got some of the bigger users like Porter Walton Park and Centerville Elementary running their water kind of close to the prohibited times to kind of try and balance that out. So the other item of note is if you are in that service area, you have not seen a bill yet. They've had several move-outs, and so they're updating all of the records, and it caught them a little off guard, I think, as far as trying to just keep up with that. So I'm not sure when those will come out. As soon as I hear from him that they're out, I'll let you guys know, because I know sometimes we get questions about that, even though we don't really have anything.
Yeah, I had somebody want the other day to know, they do a payment plan with them. So because they were starting later, would their payment plan go longer?
Oh, I
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that one.
I don't know.
Did you get this from the annual meeting? Is it?
I
know
just
they're
talked to
annual
him
meeting.
today,
Okay.
yeah, but I did just clarify with him today. The water use, that's a new thing, and it has gotten pretty hot, so that's probably some of it as well. I don't have anything additional to report on the sewer district, other than what I reported last time about the impact fees for the ADUs, so I don't have anything additional there. I think that's everything I have.
I have a report.
Oh, you have something pressing? Great.
Not pressing, but definitely newsworthy. So Chair Earnshaw has been very anxious to get a resolution passed on the levy increase, and that's been a topic of not heated debate, but definitely a spirited debate, I guess is a better word for it. It turns out that there was a motion and it passed. I was disappointed because, number one, the motion that was crafted seemed like it was wasn't even able to think it through, and it wasn't well thought out. It ended up being a 125% levy increase. As I had reported to this council, from an inflationary standpoint, it seemed that the 75% number was more appropriate. It started out at 100 and went to 125. What was also disappointing was that
You'll be fine. So I don't go get it? You are, so I'm not gonna get shot. You just, that's fine. Megan and I were getting.
Yeah, just mute him. There we go. Is that the motion essentially also was a total shift in policy. Those in favor wanted the restroom remodel to be a focus. The restroom remodel is anticipated to be part of the bond, and some members of the board now felt like the bond had no ability to pass, which I disagreed with. My position is let's get the financial house in order, and then I think you engender the public's confidence. I think this actually damages the bonding process, to be honest, because now you're asking people to fund, which pay as you go, I think a lot of community members prefer to pay as you go as opposed to go in debt, but it was a definite policy shift from the board standpoint. So they wanted to increase it by 125% in anticipation of making needed updates, capital improvements to the restrooms out into 2025. So that's what was passed on a 5-3 vote. You know where I voted, so.
Thank you,
It
then.
will go to a truth and taxation in, I think for special service districts, we have to notify the county in October, and then it'll go to November in a truth and taxation.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that.
Can I have one more minute?
Yeah.
I forgot to mention a really important thing, and I had it written down. Parks and Rec Committee, they're doing movies in the park, but also they're doing a really fun thing this summer, Neighborhood Nights, which are on Wednesday nights. And tomorrow it'll be at, it's tomorrow, right, Bryce? Okay, the 19th, tomorrow. It'll be at Porter Walton Park from 6 to 8 p.m. They'll have street hockey, board and card games, chalk fun, and Banbury Donuts. And then next week, on the 26th, it will be at Freedom Hills Park from 6 to 8 p.m. And they'll have disc golf, water games, hiking, and hot dogs. I think these are fantastic
I do
things
too.
to bring the community together. Super excited about that.
I
So,
think we're gonna do ice cream sandwiches instead of hot dogs, because it's gonna be
Oh,
125 degrees.
that'll be great. But I think that's really neat. When we were running for office, we had several comments of, gosh, we love the 4th of July party, but we wish there were some other things that were community events, and I think this is a really great.
Bryce has brought a lot to our
Yeah,
community.
that's really some awesome stuff, and I love that you're doing them at the various parks, so each
Yeah.
neighborhood kind of
I do
gets
too.
included. And Bryce, help me remember, is there another movies in the park still?
July 28th
Okay,
and August 18th. July 28th is Live Princesses. So Cinderella, Rapunzel, and Elsa will be there. Spencer, so don't be there. Just make sure you're there.
What night, which night was that?
July 28th.
July 28th.
I'm coming, I'm a princess.
And then August 18th, we'll have a Mario Kart Nintendo Switch tournament in this room.
Super fun.
Awesome.
When is that?
August 18th.
My daughters like the Disney princess, but they're quite a bit older now.
And of course, the Parks and Rec Committee is still doing fundraising for extra items for pickleball courts and batting cages, so.
And Bryce, those are pledges at this point, correct? Not actual donations.
Yeah, we just have it set up as like a form and then it's a pledge, and when we get to the point, we'll get money collected, but right now we're just pledging.
Are we getting some?
I think maybe like $500 is where we're at right now. We haven't done a lot to count the pavement, but we're getting there.
With the Qualtrics, they'll actually help a lot.
Yeah, well,
I think you'll actually be able to advertise it more readily, and it'll make more sense. I went into the code, and that's why I actually called Bryce. I'm like, Bryce, I can't really donate. He's like, yeah, it's a pledge form for right now. So.
Yeah, there's no mechanism to pay.
Thanks, Gina. Anybody, anything else? Anybody else with their committees? And thank you, Councilman Summerhays, for that report as well, too. That kind of disappoints me, but go back on the work they've already done. But all right, mayor report. So since we met last, I think the most intriguing thing that I did was go on that Weber Basin water tour. And that was the one where we went all the way up to Smith Morehouse, came down, stopped at Rockport, stopped at East Canyon, went through the dam of East Canyon, went to the treatment facility, and I think why it was so useful for me was it raised a lot of questions in my mind. And I met the following week, Mike gave me Scott Paxman's number, and I met with Scott, who's the CEO of Weber Basin Water, for an hour the following week, just the two of us. And the questions in my mind is, I know we're growing, and I know we have to conserve, but I'm hearing on the whole tour all about conserving, but nothing about additional resources. You know, and so that's what I met with Scott about, and so I got a meeting set up with President Adams and others, because when I sit there and they tell me that they had enough water to fill 2 more dams the size of Rockport and Echo, and they have the sites chosen, but they can't get the dams in, and it takes them 10 years to add 2 feet to Willard Bay. Well, we know why that's not happening, but I don't want to make any assumptions. So I'm on a crusade, more or less, to find out throughout the state of why not more resources. The last significant resource of water we had built was Jordanelle in 1992. We're talking over 30 years ago. You know.
Question, Mayor.
And then the other thing is, I found out last year why we had to conserve all summer, and Utah County used all the water they wanted to, because back in the 30s there was an agreement made where Utah County can suck from the Weber River and take money down to them. Scott did tell me that potentially could be reversed based on need, and so he said that he's going to be working on that, because I didn't believe it when a neighbor came to me late last year and said, we didn't have to conserve at all in Utah County last year. And you know, boom, we're driving along in the bus, and he points to the spot. This is where the money's diverted from the Weber over to Utah County, and that was because Utah County was growing so much in the 30s, and Davis County wasn't. And so there's a lot of questions that are raised. It was just the information was amazing. I mean, when we were sitting at Echo, I said to Mike, and I said, when I was coming up here as a kid water skiing, I thought they built this just for me. And Mike said, they did build it just for you, Mayor. But I realized that there's other purposes why the water facilities have been built, and why we have them. But that was fascinating. Scott was quite kind to take an extra hour with me as well too. And so I was in St. George last week, kind of asking the same questions as well too. They got a more severe problem than we do. But anyway, so I'll continue to follow that. Anybody give me any input? I'm looking for input from government sources, from private sources. I met with a large developer last week in St. George, and said,
Well, I mean, that's the question. Like Warner Valley Dam, isn't that?
the Warner Valley Dam's coming online. Mm-hmm.
Is that like approved, or is it still? I thought that kind of got bogged down and put off.
It is approved. The large developer, the home builder I met with, is on a board that meets with their Washington Conservancy district, and that's approved. I mean, what they're battling for right now down there is the pipeline still, but they don't have land or easement or any of that being in place, you know. But I mean, I'm concerned about us here, but I love the state as a whole. I'm concerned about the whole state.
I'm happy to sit down and talk with you about it. I was the Bear River Development Project Manager for the state until 2009. And I can explain some of the reasons why there's not resources. When we looked at developing the Bear River, the dam of choice at that point in time was the Washakie Reservoir. Like in the early 2000s, that was going to be over $1 billion. And maybe was it worth it per acre foot of development, because you don't fill that reservoir up every year.
Yeah.
But I did the modeling on that and watched the historical, but the problem is it's gotten drier since then, so that modeling would look even.
I'm sure cost is a huge, I mean, those
Cost is
are
huge.
not
They-
cheap to
they
build,
de-
I know
They
that.
have developed the most economical options already.
Mayor,
Some
where
of
were
it.
the other locations of potential reservoirs?
He said that, one along the Weber, River, I don't know exactly, he said the area, but I can't recall, remember, but.
But maybe developers need to, if they're gonna add something to our community, they need to put into a pot that eventually builds those.
Essentially, they would. I mean, that Bear River water was intended, there was a certain portion that came, I think it was 50,000 acre feet was going to come to Weber Basin, 50,000 feet was going to go to Jordan Valley, and they were going to pay for it, but they were going to then pass that along to their developers. I mean, that's how that
That's how it always works, actually.
Yeah.
So developers do pay for it.
They do pay for it, but, you know, piping water from Washakie, which is up near the Idaho border, that's not cheap water. The pipeline and the dam were hugely expensive, and there's always gonna be environmental issues and concerns with any dam that you put in, but.
And you also need to look at, if you start charging those extra fees, how that's used, because in St. George, they're charging huge extra fees on building licenses for water, and it was specifically to go to help getting the water from Powell and the pipeline.
Yeah, the Lake Powell pipeline.
And now a group's putting together a suit, that money has not been used for that, you know? And they're saying it's used for additional water.
Misappropriation.
Yeah, but, so, anyway, so that was a very useful tour and very knowledgeable as far as what I gained from it and things that we could look at in the future. And like I say, I'm a novice in learning on this, so yeah, Gina, or you or any information that we could get would be great.
I'll get some updated information, it's been a while, so.
All right, next thing, since we met last, we had a great, I think we all participated in some fashion of the 1st of July in the park and also the 4th of July parade. It was great to have the parade back. I ran home from shooting the gun off and I said, hey, our parade's an Olympic event every 4 years, you know? I mean, it had been 4 years since we'd had a parade with COVID and the fire on the hill. But
Mayor, may I suggest that on a future, maybe even a work session, just to think out loud, what do we do for dates next year? That was something that we discussed this year. Next year, it even gets pushed further midweek, and how do we want to handle those celebrations? 'Cause the fireworks, everybody just absolutely loves it. And so that's got to be a discussion on how we continue to secure that great fireworks show, I think.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because you know how stressful that was to me and coming just 3-4 months ago and not having those dates set way in advance.
August 15th is the work session.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Oh,
thanks.
Nice.
Okay, thanks. And my thanks obviously go out to all people involved from 4th of July committees and parade chairs and 4th of July committee chair, to all their volunteers, to all the staff help. It was a neat event, and I think that the community really appreciated it. Last thing, this is just kind of a sidebar, just because it involves our community, is Centerpoint Theater. I'm on the board there because of being mayor. Jansen took a job in Texas, as I previously told you. They have a pool of 19 candidates. They're going to be interviewing 5 of these 19 starting tomorrow, and then the second round after that, hoping to maybe get an executive director in there by the end of the month, you know, for Centerpoint Theater. And the last thing I had, Mike, were you going to come up, talk about the well? You want me to lead into that? Is while Mike's coming up, I want him to know of my support for him. it sounds like I'm not the only one that has seen these things, but it's got a little overboard where, even though we've approved for this well to be repaired, they're getting pretty pushy. And I just want you to know, Mike, I told Brant this yesterday, if I need to do a video with Bryce in front of that well and say what's going on, and say, hey, just slow down, hold your horses, we're on top of this, you know, and I'm willing to help you out in any way and get involved there.
I appreciate that. I do feel the support of you guys, so, and I do, it means a lot to me.
So,
You know, it's, the big thing is when it attacks I feel like it attacks my staff. That's when it bothers me the worst. I can deal with whatever comes my way, but that letter really kind of bothered me a lot. And had a conversation with Steve Hunt, our water supervisor, and just said, look, it's not you. Don't worry about it. So, but do you want me to tell you where we're at with it?
yeah, this is Brant's report, because he had to leave.
Yeah, I don't know
and
what Brent did, so I'm
he
just
said
gonna go ahead.
that Mike would be his report, because he was gonna talk about the well, so you're our pro tem city manager now.
There we go. I've never had that opportunity.
You want to sit up here, Mike?
So where have we been? So we pulled the well apart. We've pulled the pumps out. The pumps are junk. We have a DC and AC pump. Even though the DC pump hasn't run that much, it's junk. Can't go back in. The AC pump was also junk. That's the one that went bad. So at this point, where we're at right now is we've had it TV'd. So the water level is 73 feet. It looks really clean until you get to 107 feet. And then it gets, as you further down you go, the filthier it gets. And so we've got to Brush and Bell. They'll be here on the 27th, to Brush and Bell. And usually you like to wait a couple days after that before you set the pumps. But even Gina doesn't know about this. We've been going back and forth, and I've been using her a lot, and I appreciate her. She doesn't know this, but I've had another idea of what I would like to do. And I think it's a good idea. What I want to do is, we have an AC pump that I didn't realize we had. So we have a pump. AC pump is $1,130. A DC pump is $6,000. So to me, the DC pump's going to go away. And I'll talk about the emergency part here in a second, because I feel like that is my leg of why I want to have the well going, period. If it wasn't for the emergency side of it, I'd say, well, you guys would get a vote for it, but I'd be done. So anyway, we have the two columns that go down. What I want to do is put two AC pumps down at the same height. I want to lower them down in. We will have to buy a few extra columns of pipe to go down. But what I want to do is put them down there. And so what I want to do is use a pump, put a pump switch up there, 1 and 2. So what we would do is every other month we would switch pumps. So the pumps are always getting used back and forth. So what does that buy us at the end? What that buys us at the end, if one pump goes dead, we can run that other pump. So we can start acquiring prices, we can start acquiring other pumps, we can be ready to go to where we can go a little bit faster than what we've done. So the big thing is, where are we at on cost? The cost, I think, with doing away with that $6,000 pump, we're still going to be below the 25. It's going to be really close, might go a hair over. But my recommendation is what I want to do is to go forward with the two pumps. I'll have to have Steven Stauffer, our electrician, put on another control box, and then we'd have a switch. And in that, what I wanted to do is make a cord that would go off so that we could take it outside in an emergency when there's no power. We can bring up a generator, plug it in, and we have our emergency power. Now, the solar panel works out really good. It's nice, it worked good, but it takes a lot of time to do it. It's actually faster to probably drag a generator up there, plug it in. We have a generator that's quiet that would run, could be able to be around the neighbors. In an emergency, I guess they're going to have to put up with it a little bit.
There are going to be a lot more generators running than
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I haven't got the numbers on this process. Like I say, the 27th, they're coming in and Brush and Belling it. And what that is basically, it's like a bottle cleaner. You just sit there and you stroke it up and down, move it down, however many feet their device is, and you keep moving up and down until you get to the bottom. Belling is where you go down to the bottom of the well and you pull it out. So they got down to 348 feet was the bottom, and The actual well, that with the silt in it, and so it's 355. So they've got just a little bit to clean out. I don't know how fast.
Our water level is 70, but the bottom of the well is 3.
Yeah, the depth of the well. And we don't set the pumps that, but I think that is the best way for us to go. I like the option of having a secondary pump where we can rotate it back and forth. If we have a problem with the pump, we switch over and we start the mode. Number one, ask city council, do they want to spend the money again? You know, and we can come up with better numbers. It's not such a rush. You know, I realize that people feel like it's an urgency to drink the water. It's the same as in their tap other than it has fluoride. And I realize some people can't have fluoride. I've been told. I'm not going to go any further than that. I've been told that. So I think it's a great option to go if we're going to provide the service to where we have the 2 pumps. Like I say, we have the 1 pump, so that's not a cost. The only other cost is you know, probably 40 feet of column probably going down in. And so that's going to be my recommendation to Brant. Hopefully on Thursday, I will have my recommendation cost. Now, we'll have some stuff that we've got to do after that point, but Steve and Stauffer can go ahead and get started putting another control panel on after Thursday when I okay it through Brant. But, you know, I feel pretty good about the direction we're going. And you know, it's, with all the controversy, there's a lot of good residents out there that want it and enjoy using it that are our residents. And for me and my staff, we want to provide it for them. We feel like it's a service that we give. You know, we're going to have to talk down the road. Are we going to have a cost on it, you know, for outside people? Or, you know, and we, Dave and I, next week will be getting together and starting to set up, okay, how are we going to let people handle this? Because the phone calls that we get just all the time is just too much time consuming. You know, and so I think with the web is a great way to let people know. The big thing, like I feel with the letter, is the person that wrote that letter was probably to where he doesn't understand how to get to the website, I think. But that's just my own opinion. But I'm ready to field any questions that you guys have for that.
Mike, are we still, I've questioned, Mike, I've had some of the neighbors up there that really aren't thrilled with it. I've got some that are and some that aren't. But I've asked Mike if it would be possible for us to do something like the parks and put hours on it so that you don't have people coming into the neighborhoods at 1 o'clock in the morning backing their truck up. One of the neighbors told me the other day, it's so funny. In fact, they said they went over and put a big sign on it that says out of order. People are backing over the cones and getting all their bottles out and then being all mad because the water won't work. So they said, we took a big sign over there and put up that said out of order so that maybe but people are angry. But I think it would be good if we looked at putting like park hours on it.
And I'm going to look to you guys for what you want to do. I would perceive a work session after me and Dave comes up with what we want to recommend. That's an easy fix. That's a timer. It goes off at 10, turns back on at 7.
I wholeheartedly agree. I brought out that last time.
I'm with you. And, you know, it's like for me, if I go there in the middle of the night, because there was a lot of times that I'd be out and I go check and see what's going on because the pumps are running. But you're coming up the street, you turn your radio down and you get close, you turn your lights off and you go in with as low impact as possible. I'm pretty sure that's not happening when those people come in.
Right, and a lot of people back into it. And I think a lot of people go in the middle of the night that are filling tubs or,
I
or
had
I don't
somebody
know what you
tell
call
me they
them.
were going in the middle of the night because there wasn't a line. But
I've had
yeah,
that too,
that's-
but I've also think that some of the people that go in the middle of the night are going because they're filling up, 50-gallon drums because in the day, somebody's going to holler at them because they don't want to wait. So they're going in, but that isn't really what the purpose of the well is. And then, like I said, they're backing in and it's pretty.
I think that neighborhood should be able to expect that there's some quiet hours.
Yeah,
over
I do
there.
too.
I would think so.
So anyway, that was my
And-
only
and-
question.
And all of these individuals, we collectively, I think, agree as a council that this is a privilege, not an entitlement.
It's a want
Yes.
for sure. I mean, I think.
Very
to look at
grateful
it,
for our public works staff, but don't badger them or
Right.
No, I
it
agree.
becomes a different setup.
So probably the last thing that I have to say tonight about it is, to me, I don't feel like I feel like it's a public service, and I'm not quite sure it should come out of an enterprising fund, all the money. But that's up for you guys to figure out.
I agree with you 100%. I don't think it should impact the maintenance and operation expenses that are needed for our water system. We raised water rates last year with the intent that was to make sure that Public Works had the funding they needed to keep up. And we watched a valve break on the top of Chase Lane, and Mike was able to, with funds last year, go in and repair several other valves that were the same age, and were 3 of the 4 leaking or about to go.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a disservice to our water system that is the priority to take this funding out of his operation and maintenance
Well,
budget.
that's the fund that I'd have to take it out of. I mean, we don't have, I don't know where else I would get it from other than right there.
So, Robin, I'm gonna pitch the whole Qualtrics thing, having the QR code in the pavement, that maybe gives us an avenue to charge people.
And for me, so we've been looking at a card system for our fuel. And so bottom line, you buy the card, you buy the machine, and then you give the card out. So I've thought about this, and I just want to get the well going, then I'll come up with this other stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm thinking the same thing, to where you come to City Hall, you pay a fee that covers the cost of the card and the machine. If you're a Centerville resident, there is no more cost after that. If you're outside of Centerville, then we come up with a fee that they would be charged for that. And I know that's not gonna make people happy, because there are people, I had a visit with a guy from Kaysville that says, well, I like the free water. And I go, well, it might not free for much longer. You know, and so there's gotta be some way of reciprocating the cost, and I feel like our residents are already paying the cost, in my opinion. You know, and you might have people that say, here, use my card or whatever, that's fine, that's an honor thing, right? But anyway, that's just a thought going down the road. I think it's gonna involve a work session to come up with what way we wanna go. But one thing we do wanna do is you're notified through the web when it's down, and then I'm gonna have possibly put Steve Stoffer to put a light on that's red or green. If it's red, it's already been reported. If it's green, it's working, so if you pull up there, you know it's green. If it's red, you can leave, but then you know that it's also been reported that it's broke. Or if we're doing maintenance, it's just down. So clear view from the road, you can see that.
Or from 10 PM to 7 AM, it's green, or it's
It
red.
would turn red, but I gotta be careful, because I don't wanna blind the people
Yeah,
across the street.
right,
you know?
it's gotta be a right.
Right. And we're looking at that, Steve's looking into that stuff. So I just, you know, we've got so much going on. We got Fourth West, which I hope we survive by Monday. So if we can get that one done, and the other water line jobs street jobs are going, they're taking off real fast, and which is good. I want to get it done and get over with, but then I want to immediately get back and address this. So I know the mayor's saying, Mike, you've taken way too long. Call it good. So,
No, I just want to thank you and your staff for, that I still have water in my house when you're having to deal with the well all the time, you know, that the water's going in the house. 'cause
there you go. That's my main concern.
That's
I'm
right.
making sure everybody's got it, so.
Mike did check the clock before he got up. I'm guessing maybe he had 9:10.
Oh. So that's what Brett said he was going to report on, so thank you, City Manager.
I'll tell him to
Pro Tem,
take me to lunch then,
for
right?
your report.
That's right.
I think he owes me a few, anyway.
So thanks. All right, anything else, anybody? If not, look for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Council's adjourned.